Where'd everybody go?
Okay, they're coming. All right, I have the guitar here. We're singing a nigga. This is the guitars here from last night. That's it. Listen to this Rav Shlomo niggun. It's not so known, but this is I love this niggun. I've been singing it last week. Very good. I was able to sing that niggun despite the fact that I hate Reggie Miller. And that's pretty gutsy. So, no, that's okay. It's okay. Anywho, sorry. Anyway, can you hit a little shtickle air? A shtickle air would be nice. Okay. Month of Cheshvan, we're learning Leilui Nishmas, Bas Yafega Bas Yisrael, Leilui Nishmas, Frida Sime Bas Yitzchak, Leilui Nishmas Meir Yitzchak ben Yosef Eliyahu, V'lerfuah Shlema of Hillel Tzvi Yehuda, and all our chayalim, and the protection of all our chayalim b'chol makom shehem. This week is sponsored Leilui Nishmas Achayal HaKadosh Ariel ben Gavril b'Shoshana Sosnov. Hashem Yikom Damo, may the light and the holiness he brought to the world continue to inspire each of us to do better, Bezrat Hashem. Also by Michal and Yuri Reinitz for the refuah shlema of Avram Chaim ben Bracha Rivka, Sarah Rivka bas Brindel Leah. Okay? All right. Well, I can't get that niggun out of my head. We're going to probably sing it a bunch more times. Also, One more time. The niggun, it's such a deep niggun. One more time, okay? This is just such a It's such a good nigun. Rav Shlomo sang it one time, and it's like many of the nigunim. He sang one time in his life, and he never sang it again, but it happened to be recorded. You know what else he sang one time in his life? When it came down, and that was the only time? Just one time, yeah. So this niggun also, he only sang one time when it came down, and that was it. Okay, but chevra, if I'm going to sing it, give me good harmony, okay? Like strong harmony. Okay, for the chaver that need pages, I have pages here for everybody. In the sefer that we're in, with Daf Tzadik Vav, like I've been telling you all week, that when it's the Yortzeit week of Rav Shlomo, everything is connected, and all these different memories and thoughts are coming up of different sayings and teachings of his. So, regarding today's teaching, what we started learning in the Midah of Tiferet is one of the things that mamish needs to be fixed here in the most urgent way is Din HaMishpat, the world of judicial reform. It's before Simchas Torah, before October 7th last year. That was, the country was burning on this. The country was burning on it, and we're going to continue to understand the necessity of where that's needed. But there was a statement that Rav Shlomo said that I wanted to share with you. In one of his last interviews, he was asked, like, what really gets to you? And he said, I love everybody. I just can't stand shallow ideas. I can't stand shallow people. I love them. He said, I forgive them, but I just can't stand it. Shallow. The word for Hebrew in shallow is shitchi. Shitchi means shallow. So he wasn't speaking about, he was speaking about all types of Yidden. I think he was speaking mainly about, so to speak, from Yidden, but with a shallow perception of what Yiddishkeit is, and even Zionist chevra that are coming from a shallow perspective of what Zionism is. Shallow, that's the word. Now, when you come and speak to somebody about the need for judicial reform or for the ratzon that there should be what's called Medinat Halacha, which freaks people out over here so much when you say it should be a Torah-abiding state, and you give it over in a shitchi manner, in a very shallow manner, you're doing much more damage than good. Much more damage than good. So he was it was always about depths, about pnimius. Listen, you can learn Chassidus in a very shallow way too. You could learn a bunch of vorts and this is what it's all about. No. Everything has got to be pnimi. So especially when it comes to Eretz Yisrael and the way that we look at what's happening with the judicial system, when you speak about the fixing of it, it's got to be in a very deep, non-shallow way. Mukhrach liot. We're on the bottom of page Tzadik Vav. On the bottom over here, Rach mea mishpat ha'ivri. This is a key essential piece of this platform of hopefully fixing the Tikkun Medina, of trying to get together what's going on over here and fixing it. So he says like this, Rav Ginsburg says like this, Pe'amim she'atfisa halo Yehudit ro'a b'chukei HaTorah chukim nokshim ve'af rodaniyim. There are times that the non-Jewish perception looks at Torah, and what does it say when it looks at Torah in a shallow way? What does it mean? You probably know this, because many of you looking at it from that place once upon a time. When you look at the laws of the Torah, what do they seem like?
Cruel, heartless.
Barbaric, cold, heartless, 100%. Where does this come from? How did we get to a situation that the Torah sounds like this?
Irrelevant also.
And irrelevant, 100%, and very irrelevant. Prehistoric. It's lo shayach. It's not. It's cute. It must have been nice. It must have been pretty interesting, but that's really sweet. I'm glad it worked for them. Like that kind of energy. It's true. What's about to do today? So Rav Ginsburg says, but that's still happening today regarding things that have to do today. Tfisa zo nolda mitoch kriya shitchit shel haTorah shebichtav. This perception came from a very shallow reading of the written Torah.
Shallow? None.
Or none. He says those that are reading Torah in a shallow way that come to these conclusions, it's because they read it from a very shallow perspective.
Yeah. There's no learning.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, there's people that are getting up today, different political parties, they're getting up and they're saying, don't tell me what my Judaism is. No problem. So what is, And like it's fine. I won't say anything. So tell me what it is. It's cool. I'm never going to tell you what your Judaism is. I'll tell you what mine is. But go for it. Give me something. Rav Shlomo one time. I'm sorry. This is just it's bubbling. He one time he sat with some chevra, I forget what it was, that weren't into Shabbos. And he's like, listen, I'm willing to taste what you have. Offer me some. Do you have anything like Shabbos? Do you have anything like that? I'll taste it, and then I'll tell you, but you don't have anything to offer. What are you going to offer me? What are you going to offer me? One Kabbalah Shabbos is more powerful than anything that you've come up with that you think is the Inyan. So he says this comes from a very, very shallow perspective. Shemishpatei medudim u'metzumtzamim beyoter. The laws, when you learn the Torah like that, the laws are so they're so measured and contracted. Zo kriya mugbelet. It's a limited approach of reading. She'alula litzor roshem shekazeh. That can actually give a person the assumption this is what Torah is all about. Listen, it's very easy. You could be an outsider and learn it in a very shitche way, in a very, what did we say before? Shallow way. And then you come to the parshiyas that speak about Shabbos. And then you realize, wait a second, I'm definitely deserve the death penalty. And that's your whole learning of the laws of Shabbos. Right? It's possible to do that. It's very simple. What's confusing about it? And that's the Torah world, that's the Medina, that's the country I'm trying to build here. Ha'emes she'amishpat ha'ivri. Now this is so deep. What he's saying here is based on the Zohar HaKodesh. He says the truth is that Jewish law, hu etzem amitus musag harachmim. Jewish law is actually the depth of bringing down rachamim in the world. That's the Jewish law. Rachamim. What's rachamim? Compassion. Mercy. That's the inner realm of the of Jewish law. U'belashon hazor, like the Zohar, when it says mishpat, its mishpat is rachme, which means same thing, compassion. Zot omeret, am I able to give over Torah, not just the fun stuff, the fluffy stuff, but even the stuff that it's like literally dinim, halacha, and court of law, and show how the judicial, how mishpat ha'ivri, the Jewish court of law, is bringing down rachamim into the world, actual compassion and mercy. Because when the Zohar HaKodesh says the word mishpat, he refers to it as rachamim. Mishpat, judgment. Rachamim, compassion. Usually we don't think of compassion when we talk about mishpat. Even in the Shemona Esrei, when we say, v'tzadkeinu b'tzedek v'mishpat, right? How much are we thinking then about, and that there should be rachamim in the world? No.
Also, we've been raised about the midos of the avos.
Yeah.
Avraham Avinu, Chesed, Yitzchak.
Gvura.
Torah,
Right.
justice.
Right.
Yaakov does the
The merger. Right.
So that's one of the concepts.
Nachon. Yeah.
He brings in the footnote, and it only really works if you've been learning the Sefer. It says that the actual quote from the Zohar is Din Ihu Gvura. So if you understand that Gvura comes from Chesed,
Exactly.
din.
Exactly.
And
Lirachmim. Nachon. Nachon.
by being Gvura, it's Rachamim,
Nachon.
because it's actually Chesed.
Say that again. By being gvura.
It's actually
Oh, we know that. Listen, in parenting, we know that for it's parenting 101. Real chesed to our children quite often is through gvura. 100%. Yeah.
We also have in the Chazal, Mepia Gevura, like Mepia Shem, and then Rahmana, it's always called Rahmana.
Right. It's always together. It's always together. Here, what we're trying to focus on in this beginning in the beginning paragraph, understanding the way the Ribbon Shalom is not a cruel God. But when you learn the Torah in a very shitchi, in a very shallow way, the Ribbon Shalom is the cruelest God. Many of us grew up and probably checked out Yiddishkeit at certain points in our life because the imagery was cruelty, sadistic, and in the name of justice. That's not our religion. That's not our religion. Unfortunately, many people today that represent the road of Torah subconsciously are giving that vibe still. After all these years, they're still projecting that type of a voice in the world. And it's very sad, but it's definitely not the future. It's still remnants of the past. It has nothing to do with this generation. Yeah.
I think it's also a question of the basic approach to Torah, the basic view. That's why I say every day, if there's Hashem b'simcha, if we don't approach it
Right.
from simcha,
Right, we don't approach
like
it from
one
simcha.
of the four sons who said, well, what is this?
Right.
If that's the approach, then yes, that's what we will find.
It's true.
But if we've said, ooh, there's gold there.
It's true. Even in not just in the high moments and high stories,
Yes.
but even in the mishpat, in the law.
Exactly.
Nachon. And we have to really be able, we have to be privileged, please God, to be able to convey to the world, and especially to non-observant Jews living in Eretz Yisrael, that whatever you were told until now, or whatever assumptions you were told until now, it's like one time I wrote a meme. It went pretty chazak, and then I got a little bit shechted for it because it wasn't understood. It went like this. The God you don't believe in is not your fault. Yeah. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Pemus. The Hashem, the God you rejected, the God you don't believe in, it's not your fault. Meaning you rejected something that is not your fault. It was just no one knew how to give it over in any other way. Yeah, but I got slammed for that because just imagine why would I get shechted for it?
not everybody feels comfortable being called out.
I'm putting down a generation of educators. Yeah, so yeah,
There's people
yeah.
who go to a bar mitzvah to fix the learning, you know?
That's their chiyus.
That's their fears. Of course they'll be haters.
Yeah. You understand, like, whatever. We can go on and on this. It's a little bit sidetracked. Let's go back to this.
But
Mishpat
you're
is rachman.
coming from extremely Yekish
Yeah.
background. Yekischkeit is really lacking that.
Yekeshkeit is
Yekischkeit is really lacking
lacking what?
that attitude of, oh, this is beautiful.
Right.
This is gold.
It's supposed to be like that, right?
Yeah, and I just heard lately a beautiful example of it, a funny one.
Yeah.
What is the difference to Yeke between Tisha B'Av and Purim?
Okay. Why?
Shoes.
It's so bad.
Ay vey. Ay vey. Okay.
Aber emes, a missile.
He could say it, but it's
Yeah. If anyone can say it, it's him. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I come from
Listen, there's a beautiful sefer. I'm sure some of you have been learning. I've seen before. Rav Morgenstern, his sefer B'Amda Kecha. The first one about avodas. The first one, the general one, and the first chapter is speaking about that if you're not deriving pleasure from avodah, from any spiritual engagement you're doing it wrong. You're doing it, then it's wrong. Yeke has no. That's why my father says, Yeke is Rashi Tevis Yehudi Kshe Havana. They have a hard time chopping that could actually be an emet. Like, if you and ever since I learned this, every morning when I put on tefillin, I think about this all the time. I think about this right now. I'm doing a mitzvah. I know it's the right thing. It's the frum thing. I got to run into shul minyan starting. But is this action right now? Am I able to see how I'm deriving any pleasure out of this type of connection or not? And if there's nothing there, I have to daven over this and figure out a way that pleasure is not just like a luxury, but it's a key component of what I'm doing. Like even right now, we're sitting around a table, we're learning Torah on a Wednesday morning. Am I doing this because I feel bad if I didn't, or because I just really think it's important to gain knowledge? Or is this type of thinking about holy judicial reform implementing, infusing me with an element of pleasure? That's what Itchamai is saying. If pleasure is not part of what you're doing, then it's wrong. Like we quoted Arifol Hashem Yikom Damoz, right?
Right. Life is easier living it wrong.
If life is
easy, you're living it wrong.
If life is easy, you're living it wrong. So here too, I want to say that, like, if we're giving over Torah but there's no pleasure in it and there's no rachamim in it, over here he's saying then you're not giving it over right. Now, he says like this, and this is a hard thing to swallow, but it's true, and I believe it's the source of a lot of things that are messed up over here. Hamishpat, next paragraph. Hamishpat hanoheg kayom b'medinat Yisrael, the law today that abides in Eretz Yisrael, mitbases al chukot hagoyim. Now that's the most painful thing in the world, that after 2,000 years we came back from Gullus, and you go to the court, you see the system, and what is it based on?
It's
Turkish law, British law, any type of outside law, but one.
Jewish.
It's crazy. It's mamish, it's meshuga. En bekocho lerachem be'emet. But he says, you know what the real problem is? Let's say that it was nice and honest law. The problem is that type of law does not bring down the rachamim on the people that are coming to law. As just as it might sound, as smart as the system may be, and maybe at times it's even accurate, what it's not producing, understand, what it's not giving birth to, is rachamim. That's not part of its what's the right word? Of its
reality.
of its ashpa. That's not part of its ashpa. Rachamim does not come mushpa. Rachamim is not flowing out of the din, even if the din is right.
It's like, because it goes back to that gevura. If gevura doesn't come from chesed, it's gevura.
Then it's just destructive.
Destructive.
The Perek Zayin, we learned 2 prakim ago, hitba'er, shehadas, hi hamavdila ben Yisrael la'amim. The concept of da'at, of knowledge, that's what separates us, between us and the rest of the world. shehadas, hi hamavdila ben Yisrael la'amim, ve'amekira betiferet Yisrael ha'yichudit. And it also is the one that knows the unique beauty of Am Yisrael. Das is the thing that knows this. Hamekira betiferet Yisrael yichudit. Kabbalah mevuar, in Kabbalah it's explained that Das, this concept of real, deep, intimate knowledge, he pnimius sphiras hatiferes. Das is the neshama of tiferes. Like, because in order to recognize real beauty, that's after I've done real strong havdalah, separation between what's beautiful and not, what's real and what's not real, what's holy and what's not holy. So again, das, intimate knowledge, like knowing something in a very pnimiistic, intimate way, is the neshama of the midah of tiferet, of this beauty that we're speaking about. Understand, you can't know what's real beauty unless you do havdalah, unless you separate. There's no way to know it. Mishpat lelo da'at, so mishpat, judgment, Without that, en bo hizdahut im balei adin va'akara be'erkam ki bnei Avram, Yitzchak, v'Yakov. Then it doesn't identify itself, the din, with the inherent value of being the children of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You're not really judging the person that needs to be judged in the manner they need to be judged, because there's no Havdalah. You're just like everybody else. It doesn't even matter. The fact that we have, even in Eretz Yisrael, Yidden that have to go to court for so many different things, and sometimes you can have a Yishmaeli judge. Not sometimes, actually, quite often. You can. So I actually want to say something crazy. They probably have more of a possibility of the. They sometimes they're able to actually look at you more like a Ben Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov than the Yiddish one and the Jewish judge. Because somehow, in a warped way, they're somehow linked more sometimes in Masoret of being children of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov than Yidden are. Because there's less of a taiva to be like the rest of the world by them. They're just happy with their own behemoths dikakite, right? But at least it's like crazy over here. You're in Eretz Yisrael, you want to be judged like a Yid. You want the person that's looking at you to understand you're Ben Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You want the person that's going to pass judgment before you to understand the secret of Havdalah, of separation, we don't set up systems here like the rest of the world. For that we could have stayed in Gullus. We could have stayed in Chutz La'aretz. Now this goes back to the initial question that we have in this year. You want to know what possibly, God bless you, what possibly may be one of the taina of someone that's not willing to come and move to Eretz Yisrael, that's on fire for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because they want an Eretz Yisrael that's not shallow. They want an Eretz Yisrael where they've come to Eretz Yisrael for it to be Eretz Yisrael, not for it to be America. In any area, especially the court of law. I've had these conversations with many people. Do you understand what I just said? I mean, you don't understand them.
I missed the last little bit.
I have so many friends.
What do you mean about the America part?
Sorry?
What do you mean about the America? What's the distinction?
American court of law.
Yeah.
Meaning, I didn't move to Israel to have a judicial system that's set up like the American court of law. I came to Eretz Yisrael that every facet, every aspect of my being here is inherently bound with the fact that I'm Jewish. And in Judaism, there's a different court of law than the civil, than a secular system. It's not about bashing the American court of law or any. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's just that we're different. Havdalah, separation. Our DNA is different DNA. We're en malasot. We're being judged according to systems that aren't really aligned with who we really are.
Yep.
Or who we should.
Or who Be'ezer Hashem, who we should. Yeah.
Do you mean, just trying to understand, do you mean sort of aspirationally where we would be going? Well, let me frame it this way. In my perception, on a secular basis, the American court of law is closer to Torah than the current secular Israel state.
Oh, that's an interesting statement. What do you guys think of what he just said?
I don't know.
There is some foundation in Jewish law for like Talmudic law.
Yeah. I don't know enough to say, but what you said depresses the daylights out of me. No, that's like one of the most depressing things I've heard.
Law that force you go to base then is they're machshir based on in the CRC of Chicago.
No, but what Norm is saying is that that's not what you're saying. You're saying within the
A lot of the secular law philosophy is basic tenets of
Talmud, of Gemara, yeah.
But it's not based, as we're learning here, on the elements of chesed, gevura, and rachamim.
no.
Not at all.
Based on elements of fact.
Correct.
So then it's not to say it's.
That's why. Right. That's why I can't say.
It kind of is. If you think about Justice Clarence Thomas, one of the controversial things when he was having his confirmation hearings was that he believes in natural law. He believes that Hashem has a higher law than the U.S. system.
Right,
And
I
it was
remember.
controversial at the time, but there's a very strong stream in American jurisprudence in that direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So listen, it seemed I wish that what you said was ludicrous. It would make me feel a little bit more positive and optimistic. But unfortunately, there's something to what you're saying. I don't know exactly if it's true or not, but the fact that it's even possible means that something here needs to be fixed. Yeah, Ellie.
Isn't it also like if we expand outwards that the reforming of the courts is not specific just to what the judges and what the system there is? It's the effect it's had on the whole
Society.
system of how they do taxation, how they
Of
do
course.
every single aspect.
Of course.
And the Yisurim that we have to go through,
Of
not
course.
just when you're in court, but just every single aspect of like how you deal with Bituch Umi or any part of the government
100%.
infrastructure is not with the time of Rachamim. It's always with some sort of other
It's true.
approach, and that's the most painful part. Like you get caught up to Bituch Umi, the Hakira they give, it's something from like communist Russia or something. It's not from
Right.
our part.
Right. So these are all. I told you what happened to me when I was sitting once in a. I told you guys a few weeks ago what happened to me when I was sitting in the Masach Nasa offices.
You don't give that to my.
The gematria, yeah. Right. No, it's true. Like this is really, nachon. It's the sharish of it because it's supposed to produce rachamim. Like the way it's set, the way a Torah court of law is set up, is that it's supposed to convey and produce rachamim. I'll tell you, Geval Torah. Yitro came to Moshe Rabbeinu and said to him, and gave him a whole thing of like, listen, the way you're judging is wrong. Right, the whole system. Right, the Parsha in Parshas Yisro, he comes up to me and tells me, listen, the way that it's all set up is wrong. Because, mainly he basically told him, you're going to fry. You have too much on your shoulders and you're going to fry. And whenever any Rav wants to give me Mussar, they always start with this. They say, I know you think you're Superman, but, even Moshe Rabbeinu had to listen to Yitro. You have to set up a system where you take more off your plate. Say it again more. The pnimius of it is why, what Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know that? Of course he knew that. Of course he knew that the level of how much he had on his shoulders was insane. But Moshe Rabbeinu understood something, that the way that he judged, this is the pnimius of it, this is the Ishbitz Torah, the way that Moshe Rabbeinu judged someone, when people came to him for a din Torah, is that even the person that lost somehow felt good, that the right person got what he should have gotten. And that's the chokhmah of the manhig that's operating from the Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu was nervous. He says, listen, of course I need to pass this on to other people, but I don't know if after my shluchim will judge people, that the one that lost will still feel good about what the din was. That's gewalt, huh?
Keeping everyone on the derech, yeah.
That's a gewalt. That means his shlichus. You think it was about all the individuals. His shlichus, Moshe Rabbeinu, must have had to pour his heart out to all the potential dayanim at the time, the judges in Am Yisrael, to give over to them the pnimius of the Torah, so that when they would go and do a din Torah, the people would walk out, because the pasuk there, I forget the lashon of the pasuk, but it basically says that the person that came to be judged ended up still standing straight tall. They still felt good. That's the point. That's the rachamim that's so needed in the mishpat ha'ivri. And unfortunately, there are an infinite amount of examples that the exact opposite happens in today's judicial system in Eretz Yisrael. Infinite amount. And everyone knows it's not really the Knesset that's the problem. It's the Beit Mishpat. It's not the Knesset. The Knesset, you realize you could have a majority, you could have all these people fighting and votes and a total right-wing government, and it may mean nothing because it could always get overridden. It's where does this come from? Greece? I don't know. Where does this come from? I don't know, but it needs to be fixed. But part of the way Rav Ginsburg is saying, part of the way you fix it is that when you give over Torah, you cannot give it over in a shitchi, in a shallow way. You must have teachers that are giving over Torah, even showing the halachas, that it's all pnimi and it's all here to produce and bring down rachmim to the world. Okay, let's just finish this paragraph. We're like 5 lines from the top of the second paragraph towards the end of the line. Lelo hizdahut, without any, hizdahut over here means, doesn't mean identification. It means without seeing yourself as Yidden and looking at the people that are Jews as Jews, what happens is that they get chipped off from something. Nimna gilui harachamim b'talich hamishpat. Rachamim, mercy and compassion, is blocked. It's blocked. Even if you come to the same conclusion, rachamim is not there. It doesn't show up.
Which is the point I was trying to say, that even if elements of Talmudic law or something is present in the U.S. judicial system, it's not going to evoke the rachamim.
He says, Hashem, what do we know about God? Hu ohev mishpat. He loves justice. Ohev gam et kol briotav shebara lichvodo. And he loves all of his creations that he created for his own honor. V'lachen, afilu einam Yehudim, hanidonim lifi mishpatei Torah, even non-Jews that are judged in accordance to Torah law, zochim lemidas rachmim, she'einena kayemet b'shum marechet mishpat acheret. Now he's saying something amazing. Even non-Jews that come to be judged in a Torah court of law would be the beneficiaries of a midah of compassion and rachamim that they wouldn't get in any other court of law.
He said, if I may, one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach
100%.
is to establish courts, justice.
100%.
So the midah of justice, which is being elaborated here.
That was the taina on Shechem.
Yeah.
And Shechem and Chamor, when Shimon and Levi went out and did what they did, so the whole shaila, how were they able to do what they did with the Shechem and Chamor? Because they weren't keeping the 7 mitzvah Noachide laws. There was no judicial system there. Kasher nimna giluya rachamim, and when you prevent rachamim from showing up in the world, hofech hamishpat liot nokshe v'tordani, then what happens is that judgment becomes something so hard and tordani, like matrid, bothering, like the opposite of naicha. Az alul litkayem, and then what could chas v'shalom end up happening is hamatzav ha'umlal, the absolute miserable reality that is said about in Sefer Koheles, mekom hamishpat shama haresha, umekom hatzedek shama harasha. That in a place of judgment you have resha. Resha means basically the opposite of emes. And in a place of tzedek, evil, that's where the evil in the place of righteousness, that's where the evil person is. Now, next time when we learn, he's going to show us where do you start with. In order to really bring this down to the world, showing the world how beautiful and how compassionate Torah law is. So the question is, how and where do you start from? Because it's not just about talking about how deep the Torah is, but by example, about showing where would you choose, in what area of law would you choose to begin to show people that there's a way of making them, even the person that loses, that feels happy that justice took place. And that's what we're going to continue next week. But it's very clear that this whole inyan really lies in the heart of like Eli was saying before, but it lies in the heart of much more than just how the court of law is taking place. As much as we joke about it, bureaucracy here, right? I'm in a parsha right now with running after different offices to try to figure out how to prove to them that I had another child because it was a home birth. I could bring my child there, and it still does not prove that it's. I could show all the documentation that I was told to prepare beforehand, and it still doesn't. And I have money that's blocked from me from since the time my kid was born, because one paper said, oh, they did have, the rest said they didn't, and now I'm juggling this whole. There's no Rahmanis. Like there's no Rahmanis. Like it's supposed to be a society that it's supposed to be Rahmanis. Like we didn't do anything wrong. We just brought a kid to the world. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to get out of something. It's not a tax evasion here. We push it. We had another child. And to make sure that that's in the system, and I'm not even trying to get money or more money, I'm trying to release half of my salary that gets blocked. Wild stuff. Now this is all, and I believe what you said, Eli, it's all results really from the makor of it is, are we looking at each other when it comes to the world of law as Yidden or not? Now the world is still, the non-from world is petrified when you say these words. You should know. I've had these conversations with Israelis for years. When you say these words, Medinat Halacha, that's a death sentence to them. It's a death sentence. They want to bury themselves in the ground. They want to run away. But can you imagine the world we're aspiring to be is when you turn to someone and say to them, you know, one day, please God, it's actually going to be a Torah country. And the way you say it makes them feel like, my God, this is what me and my great-grandparents have been dreaming for 2,000 years. That's our job. That's what we're here to do. We should be privileged to be amongst those that have that in their arsenal. B'ezrat Hashem.